Hi guys, this is Bunschoten, the president and founder of Certum Solutions, and I'm coming to you today to talk about something that was on my mind ever since our last video. What's the difference between a financial ratio and a KPI? How do we use them in different ways? And how can we get this kind of information from our current financial software? And before I get too deep into this video, if you would do me a favor, like this video if this is the kind of video content that you like from the Certum Solutions channel, and subscribe in case you would like to be alerted of future videos. One of the things that I have been working on, and those of you that watch will be aware of, are my comparisons. I like to compare software capabilities and figure out what works best for each one of my clients. And so the ones that I tend to gravitate towards are QuickBooks, Xero, Odoo, and Zoho. Those are the ones we work the most with. We do occasionally work with Wave, and we occasionally work with some others like FreshBooks, but for the most part, these are our core four, if you will. Also, a financial ratio and a KPI can be the same, but they can be different. Think of KPIs as like financial ratio adjacent, right? It's almost like a Venn diagram. So a financial ratio is based on your financial data, and it tells you things like the wealth and health of your business and so on. A KPI, a key performance indicator, can be a financial ratio if that's really important to helping you determine, how your business is doing. But also it can be something that is not technically a financial ratio, and that's kind of where it differs. What I said and what I hold to in my last video is for a business owner, for the regular business owner, try to keep yourself limited to the 5 most important KPIs, whether they be a financial ratio or a KPI that helps you measure the health of your business. You don't want a whole lot because we've got too much on our plate already. We have other things we have to focus on, but knowing what those 5 are, and they can be different, you can change them over time, will help you be able to take a look at your business and determine what's working and what's not from period to period. Now, a lot of those can be built by our previous video on the common size financial statements. Today, I'm going to show you where you can find some of this information in your financial software, and I'm going to give you a little bit of trick on financial ratios. And we're going to go on a little bit of a journey because you know me, I like to talk about context and things like that. So clicking over to a website, which is not a financial software, but I guess it's got financial data, stockanalysis.com. I am not a Warren Buffett, but I do like to invest a little bit in my spare time. And for me, I love stockanalysis.com because it keeps the information I need at hand. It's not expensive. It gives me, the black and white, just the facts. This is what we're dealing with kind of information. Now, if you watched my common size financial statement, let's pick a stock first. I was just using AMD on the previous attempt to finish this video, so I'll jump back to there. You can pick any stock you want. And if you're curious as to why a stock might be available to purchase versus why it may not be public, so when you have private and public companies, the companies that are trading on the open market or on the stock market are public companies, right? And you have other different financial and investment instruments that are traded there too. But for the most part, public companies, if you're buying singular stocks and not an index fund or things like that, they go through pretty rigorous financial testing and auditing before they can put their information out there. So it's super interesting if you like to learn about finance or learn about accounting, because an accountant, for me, this is kind of the stuff. It's almost like playing cards, right? You get to take a look at how different companies are doing. And if I have a little bit of extra money, that's not in the index funds, because I'm one of those conservative people that's like, it's already diversified in index funds. So that's where I'm going. But I do like to play once in a while, okay? I geek out. So you can go to Stock Analysis or Yahoo Finance or a lot of other ones, and you can kind of take a look at their period-to-period growth. Now, what are you going to hopefully click with when we're looking at this? Look at this. They've measured the progress of this company over the last several years. We can make trend lines from this. We can take a look and try to extrapolate future performance if we're betting people. But in any case, it shows us how the management of this company has changed. But you're also going to see something else important. It's done period to period. Okay, so we talked in our other video about a lot of times you're measuring period to period. You might be measuring benchmarks against other people in your industry. In this case, we're doing period to period. Okay, benchmarking is really important. Sometimes, depending on where you're getting your benchmarks from, it's a little iffy, but it's very important too. Okay, so we've got this information. Some of this stuff is not relevant for a pass-through organization. Technically, if you're pass-through, your effective tax rate really isn't totally relevant because it's going to come down to what your individual tax rate is, and that's a whole other video. But in any case, here's a little hack, which I'm calling it a hack, but I'm sure anybody could do this. And it's super easy, so you do it too. If you're looking for a way to get a quick template for financial ratios, go to one of these websites, pick one, just download it to Excel, okay? And just delete the information once I go through the little wall where it says I can't edit. There we go. Okay, so a lot of times when I'm trying to come up with some KPIs and I don't want to have to go reinvent the wheel, I'll just pull something from here and I'll delete the data and I'll fill it out with my own. And then you just have to add your columns and add the future data there as you go. Okay, easy peasy. So kicking over, what kind of, so those are financial ratios. Those are not necessarily KPIs. KPIs that this company uses, AMD uses, may not even be on this spreadsheet, right? And they probably aren't because quite honestly, I'm not sharing my KPIs with my competition. I'm not sharing my KPIs with anybody else. Those are mine in my pocket. You can't see them, okay? I might share them with you though. If you ask me really nice, maybe I'll share some with you, okay? But that all being said, as a business owner, you most likely know what helps your business be successful. Every business owner I talk to knows what makes their business successful. Sometimes it takes a little bit of discussion to figure out how to quantify that, but usually it's there. Okay, so there's your ratios. If you decide to go public one day and put yourself through that hell, you may too get to be listed on stockanalysis.com, and I might look at you and decide if I want to bet some of my monies on you. So moving on, we will go over here to QuickBooks. Funny anecdote I heard about Warren Buffett, who I think everybody thinks he's amazing. He's an absolutely amazing investor, but I learned that he actually doesn't like investing in real estate. And his business partner used to, which I thought was super interesting because it just goes to show you it doesn't matter who you are, we're all different, right? And then I learned about Livermore last year and learning about how he made his money through swing trading. It's just a super interesting thing. But to me, as an accountant, I look at finance people and I'm like, it's like you're a professional gambler. But I know in the world of finance, it's actually science. To me, it's gambling because I'm like one green visor short of going full on accounting. Actually, I am pretty full on accounting. Anyway, moving on to QuickBooks. This is a sample company, and so it's really simplified from a normal company file. Usually it gets the new features last. So right here in this company, you can't actually see the new features, but they have a performance dashboard in here that offers some kind of easy breezy information on how your business is doing. I kind of think they're replacing that with a new KPI sheet, but here's the other secret. That KPI sheet is literally right now just exactly what we did the other day, making common size financial statements. And you pair that up with a really solid Excel sheet with the financial ratios you want, and you come up with those formulas and how to do them, and you're done. You've got it figured out, okay? So if you want to keep looking for that KPI feature, I can tell from looking at it that it's like 1/10 of the way from where it needs to be. As we all know about QuickBooks, they love to add new features. And I swear they just have Eric Rice's book, The Lean Startup, as their Bible because it always comes out and there's like barely anything there. But then you look again in 5 years and it's beautiful. Okay. Kicking over to Xero. I love, and I'm saying this, I love Xero. I am relatively new to the Xero world. I think we've heavily worked with it for about a year. And with Xero, it just makes things so straightforward and easy for our customers. So one of the things you look at here is that dashboards are powered by Sift. I don't know if Sift came up with this, Xero came up with this, but when you scroll here to the bottom, look at how easy it is to look at some of your ratios, right? And you'll keep in mind it has 6. There's my current ratio, which is an important one We've got our debt ratio, our current liabilities, net worth. We've got some different ratios here, okay? That's cool. Obviously, you open Excel and you look at the ratios that we just downloaded from AMD, and there's like 27 if you take out the headers, okay? So that 6 is a lot different from 27, but you put it into context of, as a small business owner, we only need 5 or 6, and we're trying to figure out what those are. Maybe that's something important to us, and we can click on this Edit Metrics. What's this? Nope, absolutely nothing. We will move on. Most, if not all of your ratios, you can actually do yourself, okay? And even with QuickBooks, if you have spreadsheet sync, I'm pretty dang positive you could take that spreadsheet, build your ratios and formulas, and possibly just use spreadsheet sync to update them from month to month. But right now, today, we're focusing on what's already available. Odoo, sorry, Odoo, you were missing out on this one. Odoo has no real financial ratio dashboard. Odoo is known for having a really strong overall cost-effective ERP system. So if you're a manufacturer, it's a really good one for manufacturers because their shop floor software and stuff that's built in is pretty cool. But if you're looking for high-level financial data, that is not what Odoo's known for. If you're like me and you like to geek out on this stuff, you're doing that stuff in Excel, okay? Or you or your developer are going to build you some fancy dancy reports. It's going to cost a lot of fancy dancy money. One of the things that you have to know about Odoo is Odoo's like a template. Odoo is a template system for your business as an ERP. You can get it to where you want it to be. You're going to put some money into development. You just are. QuickBooks out of box, Xero out of box. You're having to bring in data. You're having to configure some buttons. Odoo, world is your oyster. It's a lot like WordPress. If you're a web designer, you can do just about anything with it, but it's going to take some labor and love, okay, and money. Kicking over, so they say that it's low cost, but what they don't always tell you is you're going to have money for development. Zoho, also like Zoho's ratios. You will go to Zoho and you'll see their business performance ratios right here, and you can pick which one you want. And we have more than 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8. Now, if you are not wanting to build your own ratios and follow these ratios, which really is not a whole lot of work after you get them started, but I get that maybe it's it might be scary. We want stuff that's already in here, okay? Because for the record, I work in this field, so it doesn't bother me too much. But if you're like just wanting something simple, to me, Zoho, Xero, they've got the best simple dashboards. You can build just about anything from the reports from any of these software packages. One of the things I love to point out about Odoo is that they have these cool analytics, which are like tags, and then you can like report off the analytics, and it's really cool. Okay. The closest thing I can think of in QuickBooks is maybe classes or tags, but I think they just deprecated tags. So I think tags are going away. I'm pretty sure they went away. If I'm wrong, I apologize. Anyway, so that's kind of my comparison between QuickBooks, Xero, Odoo, Zoho. I'm going to bake this stuff into my comparison sheet. If you want a copy of it, then go ahead and go in the description and we can get you a copy of it. If there's something we can help with here at Certum, we are here to help. If you need business consulting, bookkeeping, the rest, some accounting help, I'm here for that too. If you're just looking to drink our coffee and talk about how crazy stuff is and how AI likes to turn everything on its head, we'll talk about that too. Yes, I saw that QuickBooks just announced their agents yesterday. It's funny because, Microsoft has Copilot, Google has Gemini, and now we have agents and bots, and you can create agents yourself, and the rest of it is all really interesting. But what they all miss out on is, for me, AI is fantastic at a very small segment of things, but then on other things, it's totally missed the boat. So needless to say, we're not being replaced overnight, but it is kind of fun to use. It's replaced Google for me. And I like that it has the references. I'm not looking for those hallucinations. You got to keep your eye out for that. And I'm sitting here blabbering. So we're at 14 minutes and 59 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you so much for watching. I'm super excited to do another one. Let me know what you want to hear about. Do we want to dive more into financial ratios? Do we want to dive more into KPIs? Do we want to take a look at maybe some public companies and how they grow over time? Do we maybe want to dive into some features? Do we want to dive into some consulting ideas? Whatever you want to hear for, I'm part of it, and I'm here for the ride too. I love to talk if you haven't noticed. I can't wait to talk to you, and thank you for watching.